Hi, I promised a tour of my 1950s dresses that I've sewn that I wear for events, just occasional outings out and about today. And this is one of my favorites. I made this based on a pattern which looks very similar to a style that Audrey Hepburn wore in one of her movies. And so I blogged all about that. Just go to Teacups in the Garden. In fact, in the comments below, I'll put some links. But this is one of my favorites, made from silk du peony, and I first made it for my daughter's wedding to wear as the mother of the bride dress. It's really very special and has the side zipper here, and I've had so many compliments on this while wearing it for special events. Another favorite dress where I get a lot of compliments from is this one, also made with a 1950s pattern, very similar to a Huroxas style. It uses the chevron in the bodice and then a full skirt, and I get so many compliments. The fabric is actually a vintage fabric, a recreation that Gertie, who has her own sewing blog for vintage sewing, created this line several years ago for Joanne, and I snatched up all the fabric I could. Well, another one of the Gertie fabrics allowed me to make another Huroxas dress, this time in pink, and I've had a lot of compliments. I've worn this several times this summer, as I have the aqua one. A lot of fun. This dress I just made from another historic pattern from the 1950s, and I made it for a Christmas dinner party, and I've worn it for other special events since, always getting compliments on this. I made it from a red-black changeable silk that I was able to get at Hancock Fabric many years ago, and I love wearing this one for those special occasions. And then I used a historic 1960s pattern for what reminds me of another Audrey Hepburn dress. I used this corduroy to make this autumnal jumper, which I have most of these featured on my blog. Like I said, I'll put all the links down below. And it's just a lot of fun to wear and play it up. Now, leaving the 1950s and transitioning to the 1960s, I found this great pattern, which was very reminiscent of the very early 1960s styles. It has a zipper in back, and I just love this. I used a contemporary fabric. I love the gingham. It's cotton, and it's embroidered. If you can see, there's a lot of embroidery on this, and I have so much fun wearing this as well. One of my favorites. Now, this is actually more of a contemporary dress, but I was trying to figure out, it's gone through different styles, just trying to make it work. It's a great, fun fabric I bought many years ago at Hancock, this royal blue, which really isn't my color, but it was so fun. And I loved the periwinkle blues and the lime green within it. And for this, I forget all the versions I made, and I keep cutting it down and restyling it until I found the one I liked. So underneath this very simple blouse, I have a skirt, and which has an opening in the back, a slit in the back. And when I wear this, you know, this is kind of fun, but while looking at 1960s styles, I did one thing to change the look. I took this green silk and made a sash and style it in such a way to create a 1960s vibe. So I'll put the link to that style below in the comments. Now, included in my stash are garments that are mostly done, but still need some handwork, some finishing work before I can wear them. One of them is this cute 1940s blouse. I think it's 40s, right? And it's from a pattern by Gertie with more of her fabric from the vintage style, and just really cute with these ties What's left to do are the buttonholes. My machine does not buttonhole. It does perfectly on test fabric that I make identical to the blouse. And then when I do the blouse, it ruins the garment. So I've had to trash some old projects in the past. One of these days I'm going to sit down and just do my buttonholes by hand, because I do that for my 18th century sewing anyway, and it'll be good practice. Something good to do in front of an old-fashioned movie. Another garment that I'm not quite finished with is this sundress, again made with Gertie fabric, reproduced from the 1950s. This aloha print. The cotton is so soft, as are the other curtains in the Gertie line. So soft, so delicate, and just beautiful. And basically I have to work on the fitting of the garment. But I have worn it to a couple events, including a luau party that I attended a few years ago. And then this garment I've made just a blouse from a pattern from the 1940s. And so I plan to wear this with a 1940s black skirt. And once again, I need to do the buttonholes by hand, and I haven't gotten around to it. Now, part of the inspiration for doing this trunk tour of my clothing has been my new closet system. I'm going to show you more of my closet system. And these are IKEA closets. So these are IKEA closets that this townhouse did not have enough closet space. So this is mine here in the master. And on this side is my more historic eras, coming all the way from the Middle Ages, the 18th century. I have the 19th century and the early 20th century here. And then I store all my accessories up here. And the neat thing in this IKEA unit, I have added wallpaper that I really like. It has that 18th century vibe to it, and it's shimmery, and just gives it a little fun presence. I have a few other ideas to glam this up, but they'll come later. So in this closet, I have all of my dresses that I wear every day. So these are my more contemporary styles, some of which have vintage flair, and I admit some just whatever I can find on the rack for whatever event I'm doing, because I'm kind of busy. I prefer to historically sew, and I'm not always having time to even finish my projects. In fact, this is a garment bag which I sewed, and I have used for travel, which has been a lot of fun. But this is where I store these clothes. These go over here in this section so that they're ready to grab and go. And here I have a wonderful garment bag from Hayden Hill, which allows the fabric to breathe within but keeps out any moths. And in here I have an evening gown that I bought to be in my son's wedding to protect that. And then just very practically, in this closet are my everyday clothes. And there's not necessarily anything historic about anything, although a few things do. Mainly this one. This one was, here, let me change this around. Talk about this skirt. This was a thrifted item. It began as a very long and plain linen white skirt that I bought at the store for $5. But it was very boring, so I cut off the extra length and created these ruffles that remind me of how the bottom of gowns were trimmed, in fact, white gowns even, in the early 19th century. So I call this my early 19th inspired skirt. And I wear those to places when I'm trying to have that little bit of a vibe. So that's a little bit about my closets, and I'll share a lot of links below. Thanks a lot for watching.